is pretty much everybody. So let me kick off the recording here. All right, so it's been a lovely week to start with. If you don't have a cold like me, we're now in August. I've been out for the last month, but just kind of want to go over. Anybody got any good news they want to share first before I kind of jump into all this fun market info?
I don't have anything.
Nothing. Rob doesn't want to pipe up about his.
Oh, just well, I think I told everybody before we're got the 2.1 sold and starting to look for a new place for my newly homeless clients.
So yeah, I'll go over some tips on some things that might help find what they're looking for too. So hopefully that'll be helpful.
Awesome.
So jumping into the market data here, looks like our actives are finally still kicking up, as opposed to last month, which got actually increases in them, which is a good thing. It's of course not as much as we really need. We need to be more like double that number right around this time of year. The good thing is we still have a lot of them going under contract. They're still selling, and of course that keeps pushing up prices and appreciation. Our days on market are just slightly increased over the last month. But our actual days on market of actives are dropping. So people are still selling them. We still just don't have enough to sell. Going over the market index, we are still tapering off, and it's still going to be, looks like a trend that's going to be happening for the next, several months, especially over summer season when things kind of cool off anyways. Not too many people want to go out and look at houses 110-degree heat. Our actives, as we're talking about, are ticking up slowly. Not anywhere near where they should be, kind of like up here in the 15,000s. We're about a third of what we should be at still, even under the 200 millions near Maricopa. What this does is it's popping up our average list price per square foot. Just in the last year, it's been an insane market uptick. I mean, just look at it 5 years ago, $150 a square foot. We're now sitting at $270. So people are wondering, well, why are investors flocking to Phoenix and buying up all the houses with all cash? That's why. We have a market that's growing and it's going to keep on growing. So that number is going to keep on increasing. Monthly sales statistics, year over year, percentage average, monthly average sales. Of course, the prime time was May. Things are ticking down, starting to cool off and get a little more normal-ish. Well, the new normal, where everything's super high. Year over year percent change is still in the 10 to 20%. Crazy numbers that can't be sustained, but we'll see how long that lasts. Our contract ratios, this is a good one to always understand, that we're under contract double what we're just going back onto the market. So people are like, oh, we're getting more listings. Yeah, but we're selling twice as much as what we're taking in. So, of course, some of those fall out. Some don't go through, but the majority of them should be going through. Our contract ratios around the 200s. This is more sustainable than this 350 we had way back in March, April, May. Excuse me. Days of inventory, as we're talking about, the running average, typically they're supposed to be around 2 or 3 months is normal and average and healthy. We are right around 18 days, instead of 90. 68 was supposed to be where we're projected to be at. But the running average is taking it off for several years. Obviously, we're way below. Notice of trustee sales. Everybody's like, oh, forbearance is over. It's doom and gloom. We haven't had anything come up yet. All of July, we're still at the very small trickle of under 100 for all of Maricopa County, which is insanely low. Our annual change in monthly median sales prices. This is another crazy one. Of course, we had a crazy uptick right around 2012, 2013 when things actually started kicking off to being normal again. That was like, oh my gosh, this is craziness. And then we got, of course, now we're up 27% monthly annual median sales price change. Of course, that's tapering off. Now there's less and less things to sell, and it's becoming harder and harder for people to close on homes. The good thing, of course, is our appreciation range, appreciation in our prices. Even on all price ranges, anything under 2 million is in double digits, which is a good thing. As I was talking about with Rob, Things you can bring up with people are like, well, maybe I'll just wait till next year. It could get even crazier. Unfortunately, the indicators for the market right now are showing kind of the opposite. We are on this downward trend. Our prices are going to won't be dropping anytime soon, but our demand is definitely dropping, and our supply is slowly catching up, which means things might be equilibrating out a little bit. So does that mean it'll keep going up at the crazy pace it is? And unfortunately, no. There's just no way that can maintain itself. As mentioned before, it's reset on me again. There we go. For non-mini mansions, it's going to reset on me everything. We have around 4,400 actives. No, 5,000. Now everything reset. Awesome. Anyways, it was 4,000. Our actives, our sales per month are still ticking very well. But our price per square foot just keeps going off the charts. That's the one to keep the eye on, because that's where affordability is going to start kicking in, is when this craziness starts tapering off, where people just can't afford the homes to buy them in it. Good news for people who want to sell. Now is obviously the best time to sell, because anytime in the near future, this number could change. It could flatten out. It could drop. But the indications show that it's not going to keep going upwards like it is. Monthly median sales, obviously, were way up. Our under contracts are way down because you can't find them. And then our actives for sale this time of year are way low. This one still hasn't been updated for August yet, but that's basically where our story was for all of July. This one, so if you need it, let me know. I can get this one for you for shareable with your clients. A couple things on the national news I want to throw at you. You're going to be hearing a lot of them this week. Moratoriums officially ended July 31st, which was 2 days ago. And their big fear is there's going to be this huge tsunami of, oh my gosh, inventorying people being homeless and nobody's death and mayhem. Deferred debt, like I was talking about before we started, most of them, it was around 7 million people that are in the forbearance programs. Right now, it's only about 2. And of that, Arizona is going to get maybe 7,000 of those. All of Arizona, so Phoenix area, 85% of that, right about 5,000 of them. Most people are in forbearance. There's lots of options for them. The one thing I was going to point out in here, well, I'll point out again in my tips for the week, if I can find it. It's somewhere in here somewhere. There's that one good one. 1 in 10 of the borrowers in forbearance will have less than 10% equity in their home if they make good with all the stuff that they owe, tack it on, and stuff it back into the loan. That means they still have equity in their home. They could still sell and come out whole, no problem. Everything they owe, everything in forbearance, etc., penalties, anything else they want to stack on top of it. That's only 1 in 10 or less than that. 9 out of 10, they're going to be even more than that equity. So the best solution for the majority of the people would be is if they can't afford the home anymore and they can't work out a deal with the government or with the lender, is to sell. This would be one of their major options. The other thing I thought was interesting in the news, and also NAA is a National Apartment Association, they go for supporting the opposite side of that, the landlords and the owners. There's a lot of pushback that said, yes, this eviction moratorium is hurting all the people that are small property owners, and there's about 26.6 billion of rental debt that owners had to suck up and cover for the government and everybody else because of their moratorium. So they brought out this lawsuit. If you know of anybody who's been affected by this, it's a landlord owner or owns property, definitely join suit. Myself, several friends are going to join in. This is another funny one. Now for local news, Phoenix, #1 housing market negatively impacted by investors. Big, huge, nice byline. But all this says is investors took away in April 429 homes. That's it. Less than 5%. So they're not taking away all the homes. There are investors out there. And that inventory that they took away was that much in the median price point. So the net effect of investors, not really, but it's biggest as compared to all the other markets where people are buying. Because as we showed before, we have super strong numbers. Excuse me. Anything about the news before or market and stuff before I go on to the tip of the week? All right, get this thing started. All right, so solutions for low inventory. So we all know inventory is low. I just want to come up with a few tips of how to overcome it and how to combat it and help your clients. The main thing that most people are like, oh my gosh, so how did this get so bad? What's going on? What's the market so crazy? And they're like, this has never happened before, especially if people have bought a home 10 years ago. They're used to buying stuff on 80 cents on the dollar. The one thing that most people don't understand is, of course, the reason why everything's so bad right now is because of what happened 10 years ago. Builders got put out of business. There's a lot of people that did overbuilding, kind of did the complete opposite of what's going on right now. They made too much supply, not enough demand, and kind of screwed the market. Now, builders are kind of scared of the market. They don't want to put in money or building into things that are guaranteed. There's also fear of selling from the pandemic. There's a lot of people that just didn't want to sell. People threw their houses, etc. There's also investors that have been holding on to those assets. There used to be a lot of inventory that would come back. A lot of people have bought during 10 years ago. Now they could sell, but they're making such good money on the asset. It's performing very well for them as a rental, and they keep seeing that growth going ahead and the price going up forward. So they think, well, maybe I'll just hold on to these. Next generation, they have buying jitters. They have some PTSD from that last generation, 10 years ago, when it was so bad. Like, why would you want to buy a house and go through all that kind of crap? And then house affordability gap. As we saw, prices keep going up, but there's nothing else left to buy. So people start getting desperate, start putting in overbidding, et cetera, et cetera. Kind of feeds into itself. And the people that are on the median to less are having more and more struggles finding what they can afford. Just kind of some stats on the right here about how that's affecting people that are in the lower income ranges, your blue collar workers. People that are averaging 25 to 50,000 having a very tough time trying to find anything that they can afford. One of the other things that's affecting it, aging housing stock. Something that you can definitely overcome this one with is, since there's not as much available, there's some houses that listing agents aren't even cleaning. It's kind of crazy. They'll throw the house out on the market. It's dirty. It's disgusting. They haven't done anything to it. They haven't cleaned it. They haven't done simple things like replace light socket covers. I've never seen this before. It's just crazy in 30 years. They'll just throw it on the market because they know it'll sell. Don't care. They tell the sellers, hey, why put money into it if you're just going to sell it? And they'll buy it anyway. Problem with this is most buyers want to move into a move-in ready home. Some of them are turned off by that. Fortunately, there's some other buyers that kind of have that vision. They can see what can be possible with those homes. Those people are definitely the ones you want to talk to about renovation loans. Make the most of what's available. If you can take that crappy home, that outdated house that hasn't been touched in 50 years, do a little HGTV on it, you can make it a nice and new, great home. Probably even cheaper than the new homes. Crazy statistic, though, I thought was funny, is that 80% of the homes in the U.S. are at least 20 years old now. That's pretty. 40% of them are at least 50 years old, and it's just getting worse. There's more and more stock and not enough being built. Aging housing stock, the other thing about it that you can do is sellers don't know if some of the options that are available to them. Even the ones that, we can say, hey, we can put it on the market and you can sell it as is and take a little bit of a hit. But if you want to put a little money into those properties, there's a lot of little things you can do, like decks, front doors, garage doors, simple things to improve the curb appeal. Bigger projects, of course, are kitchen remodels, bathrooms. Everybody loves kitchens and bathrooms. That's what sells homes. That's where you get your most bang for your buck, but they're also, the more expensive ones. Curbio is kind of a company out there that works with agents. They kind of tell you that they can get you on average 50,000 more on the house by doing a few small renovation projects that have a high ROI, excuse me. Next thing you can help them with is expanding on their search criteria. There is an old saying I've heard several times in Phoenix is, if you can't afford where you're looking, keep going outwards. Keep going west, keep going north, keep going south, keep going east. Eventually you'll hit somewhere that you can afford. They have to maybe enlarge their geographic areas, and maybe they have to commute a little longer. With the new highways that are coming in, commute times are actually shortening. becoming better. It's not, as long as you can stay away from the I-10s, you're usually pretty good. Buyers also may have to compromise on their want lists. There's a few things that they may want to have in the future: the RV gates, the bigger house, the larger yard. Some of those things maybe aren't the key thing that they have to have in their home. Maybe they can start confirming on those. But also another good one is to, there was another broker I was talking to about it, and he said that actually their agents are starting to talk to local builders. Builders don't always put all of their inventory on the MLS, so there's only like a fraction of it on there, usually with like one or two agents. So there's some hidden inventory there, but also if you can find a good builder, build a relationship with them, you can actually entice them into like, hey, I've got a buyer, can't find a home. They would totally buy today if they can buy X, Y, and Z at this price. Buyers then sometimes can actually spec out a house just for that buyer. A prospecting agent I found just on one of the websites had this really cool, hey, download my Savvy Guide Buyer's Guide. A lot of people are out there looking. A lot of people are starting to get desperate. So having something like a Savvy Buyer's Guide could potentially catch another client. Investors, maybe another good pro if they're open to selling. I've had several investors who keep talking about pricing because they're thinking, well, can this market sustain? Maybe now would be the best time to sell. There are people that are out there listing their homes for sale. How do you find them? Craigslist, Zillow, HotPads, several others. Just let me know if you're interested. I can send you several other resources. But just this 2 lines, or 2 or 3 lines, excuse me, just calling them up and asking them, hey, I know you have this property. I have someone that would love to buy in this area neighborhood. Would you be interested in selling? We can get you top dollar on it. You won't have to do anything to the property. You can probably just put it on the market as is right now. Another option is you can do rent to owners. There's people out there that want to rent, but then also maybe someday they'll buy them from the house. It saves them from having to do the marketing on it. It also saves them a little bit on the commission because, well, still get commission on the sale, but you don't have to pay out the buyer's side. Usually kind of the meeting first objections is like, well, maybe next year it'll be even higher or maybe even better if I just wait. Maybe I'll just wait. I'll wait till the end of the year. Well, the thing that most people don't understand is that the market cyclical, 1. 2, the indicators are that the things are going to tap out pretty soon, if not start going back downwards in the downward trend. Third thing is people are starting to get really desperate for homes. They need homes, and that desperation probably going to start drying up here as soon as summer's over. Then we get into fall season. And in the fall season, you have a very short window, maybe August, September, before the holidays start hitting, and then people start putting their buying plans on hold again. And then, of course, third one, always good point to bring up to them, though, how tight the market is, how easy it is to sell. Really easy, low risk. If it doesn't sell in 1 week, boom, you can always put it back on the market and rent it, or you can keep renting it, listing it for rent. This is one of my favorites, but I'm putting a new twist on it. Flipping the script on it instead of going out and, constantly hammering people for, do you want to sell your home? Do you want to sell your home? Instead, you tell them, hey, I've got a buyer. On top of that, you can say, I have a fully qualified buyer and they can't find anything in your market in that neighborhood. They would love to buy your home. Is there any way that you possibly think of selling your home? That's pretty much how I would pick it up. On this right, I kind of have like one of those buyer, what do you call those, personas. All you do is just mock this up. Of course, obviously talk to your buyer about what you're doing. Instead of making a love letter for the buyer and trying to get contracts written, the other thing you can do is I'd say make an ad for them. This is my budget. This is how much I'm going to buy. This is the area I want to go in. This is why I'm frustrated because I can't find what I'm looking for. I'm a great buyer. Please sell to me. That's pretty much all this ad is. And the seller looks at it and like, wow, somebody who's already really willing, and able to buy my home. All I have to do is say yes, and house is sold. If not, always follow-up tactic is anybody else they know in the area. If they're in the neighborhood, they talk to the neighbors. They might know somebody else that might be willing to sell to that buyer. Excuse me. Forbearance has ended, but has it really? As I mentioned before, truly we have ended as of 2 days ago, but the government, of course, they still want to kick this can down the road. And they're worried about people being homeless. et cetera, et cetera. They're kicking that out until September. End of September, I believe it is. Anybody that's government-backed loan, they're still going to cover them until then, as if it didn't end. Of course, I still lease conventionals and others, private loans, that still can be called due. With the forbearance, there's multiple options that are open to the people that have these. As we mentioned before, they probably have plenty of equity, even taking into account all the backup pays and everything else. The problem is a lot of people are getting in that deer in the headlights thing where like they're kept pushing it off, thinking, oh, I'll deal with it someday. I'll deal with it someday. That's the 2 million that are left from the 7 million. Those are the ones that just don't want to deal with their situation. A lot of this happens during foreclosures and people want to bury their heads in sand and hope for something better and hope for someone to come with a solution. You could be that person with that solution. You can start talking about loan mods. You can talk about other things. I can go over multiple things and points to talk to them about. But I think for potentials for getting listings and for inventory, this is like one of the biggest ones that we're going to have for a while. 5,000 doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I would take even 10% of that. And then last point, if you're not solving problems, you're not selling real estate. Right now, the biggest problem, of course, is our inventory. So finding creative solutions to that for your clients is kind of the thing that they're looking for you as a professional to do for them. So hopefully these few tips will help you out, to give you some ideas. And if you want to, anytime, you can bounce some of those ideas off me. We'll talk them through. That's a tip. Anybody have anything that's holding them up with their business? Things that we can help you out with? Roadblocks, obstacles you're encountering? All right, we stopped the recording.